Hundreds take to the streets of Kuala Lumpur for a second straight day, making their protests heard against Israeli interception of a flotilla of aid-laden ships bound for Gaza. 23 Malaysians have been detained. While the Malaysian government works to secure their return, protesters say much more can still be done. CNA senior correspondent Afifah Ariffin with this report.
Protests continue outside the U.S. Embassy in Kuala Lumpur, even in the pouring rain, as Malaysians are determined to have their voices heard. Many here see Washington's strong support for Israel as part of the problem, and they're demanding not only stronger action from the Malaysian government, but also from the wider international community to ensure humanitarian aid reaches Gaza. This protest in Kuala Lumpur is also taking place against a bigger backdrop as the city prepares to host the ASEAN summit in a few weeks, with US President Donald Trump scheduled to attend. Now, his presence here at a time of heightened anti-US sentiment could inflame tensions further, especially as protesters are already linking the flotilla raid to Washington's backing of Israel.
We want the government to be with us, to support us, so that it is going to be a big voice to the world. Okay, even Malaysia is a very small country, but our voice may be being heard by the whole world.
So this has gone on for too much. They captured our people. Those are my friends. They are now being detained for something so noble.
Okay, Presiden Donald Trump tak patut datang sini. Saya bantah dengan benda tu.
Meanwhile, the Malaysian government has confirmed that all 23 of its citizens detained by Israel are safe and in good health. The Foreign Ministry says they will be deported via third countries, and Malaysia has stationed legal teams in Jordan to support them. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has also taken the matter directly to world leaders. He said he sought US intervention through Secretary of State Marco Rubio, while also engaging with counterparts in Turkey, Egypt and Qatar. The message is clear. Malaysia is demanding the immediate and unconditional release of its volunteers and insists the humanitarian mission they were on should have never been obstructed. Afifah Ariffin, CNA, Kuala Lumpur.
And Blake Sifton is covering this story for CNA from Tel Aviv. Blake, we're just hearing from Malaysia there. So the concern for that 23 Malaysian citizens detained, but of course there are more than 450 activists in total detained on this roughly 42 ships in this aid flotilla. The last ship, Israel says, has been intercepted and also detained. What happens to all these activists, roughly 450 of them?
Good evening, Wei Su. That's right. This last vessel that had mechanical issues and lagged behind the rest of the flotilla was also intercepted and boarded this morning local time. That brings a total of 42 ships that were intercepted and boarded by the Israeli Navy, and we now understand at least 470 people have been detained. They were all taken to the port of Ashdod initially, and they've since been taken to a prison in the Negev desert where they will have their deportations processed by immigration authorities. Now, this prison is one of the largest prisons in Israel. It's a high security prison, and it's not normally used to house so-called immigration detainees. But because this flotilla involved such a large number of people, hundreds of people, it presented a logistical challenge for the Israeli authorities in terms of where to hold them. Now, the Israeli Foreign Ministry said today that they have already deported 4 activists from Italy. They haven't given a timeline yet for when the rest will be deported, but they've said that they are keen to speed the process up and deport people as quickly as possible. Now, organizers of the flotilla said at least a number of activists have been undergoing a hunger strike that they began from the moment they were detained at sea. And we've also seen video today of far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. He went to the port of Ashdod when the activists were brought there by the Navy and they were sitting there detained. He basically walked in front of them, shouted at them, heckled them, called them terrorists and supporters of murderers. Now, even as this flotilla has been stopped, the organizers of the flotilla have vowed to go ahead with their efforts to challenge the maritime blockade of Gaza. And they announced today that a new flotilla, including a ship carrying 100 activists, healthcare workers, and journalists, has left Italy. It's been joined by several other boats, and it is currently off the coast of Crete on its way to the Gaza coast.
Blake, aid just one concern, stopping the war in Gaza as well another concern. Donald Trump announcing a 20-point plan earlier this week, which has vitally secured agreement and backing from Israel. Some argue it is the least bad option for the Israeli Prime Minister. For Hamas, which also needs to agree and is still studying this deal, what are his options?
That's right. We understand that Hamas is holding consultations with both their political leadership and their military leadership inside and outside of Gaza. They've also been meeting with mediators Egypt and Qatar, as well as Turkey, who, of course, is one of their major backers. They have reportedly said that they want to introduce amendments to this proposal. They say that Israel was allowed to make changes right up to the moment that Netanyahu met with President Trump and held that press conference earlier this week, and they want to be able to do the same. Specifically, they reportedly want a distinction made between defensive weapons and offensive weapons. Of course, this proposal calls for them to be totally disarmed. They want to be able to maintain the possession of what they call defensive weapons. Similarly, this proposal that some members of Hamas who demilitarize could be given amnesty or could leave Gaza. They apparently want guarantees that Israel will not try to assassinate those people afterward. And crucially, and most importantly, is the issue of the Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Now, in the past, Hamas has repeatedly said they would return all Israeli hostages in exchange for an end to the war and the full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. In this proposal, Hamas will give back all hostages within 72 hours of the deal being signed. And at that time, Israel will only have completed a modest withdrawal. And the full withdrawal of Gaza is tied to the progress of this international stabilization force that is meant to enter Gaza and help with demilitarization. Hamas wants it more specific. They want maps and they want timetables. And they appear to have the backing of both Egypt and Qatar, who have said that more discussions and clarifications are needed on several of the points in this proposal. Now, as that is all happening, the Israeli military announced that they have finished encircling Gaza City. The main road out of Gaza City is now cut off. Civilians who want to leave have to pass through Israeli military lines. And Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said this is the last chance for civilians to leave, and anyone who remains would be considered terrorists or terror supporters. And the UN has pointed out that there are still at least 250,000 civilians left in Gaza City.
Thanks, Blake Sifton there covering this story for CNA from Tel Aviv.